America has always had that inner heel of racism and discrimination. And so in the 1970s, right in the middle of the postmodern movement, black theology came to the front. And guess what? Black theology started right at the time I was going into college. James Cone was very instrumental from Union Seminary in New York. And he started writing on black theology. I remember I had to do a report on him. I resented it because my white professor was trying to feed into the black mind, and I knew it at the time. But all of this was going on, you see. So postmodernism was a reaction to modernism, but they all go too far. All of them are ungodly in the sense that they put authority in human hands, but they distrust it from God's hands.
Right, right.
It's just it doesn't matter which way you go at it. All of them do that. You see, reason elevates your mind to where you should be trusting God.
Yeah.
It says reason is where you can find absolute truth, but it was never in God. It was in reason, human reason. So it pushed itself arrogantly above God. And then the scientific method, empiricism, set out to prove that only things that can be scientifically verified can be considered real. And since you can't verify God in a test tube or in a science lab, then you can never verify religion scientifically. And this is where you get people saying you can't prove religion. That's where that comes from. It comes from the scientific method, which is a very strong part of American history, and it's present. At the same time, existentialism is too, because the countercultural movement and everything is basically, no, that's not where we are. We're not just in the war. We're trying to find love. We're trying to find meaning. We're trying to find what life is all about. And so a lot of the 60s movement was really trying to get into philosophy. You see, you had the beatniks in the 50s. They were trying to get into this deep poetry in these little clubs. But the 60s, they came out with it. They were trying to find truth. They just didn't know where to find it. They tried to find it through drugs. They tried to find it through communes. They tried to find it through experimentation, sexually, and other things. And that's led to a whole lot of problems we have today. But they were seeking all this stuff. They were devastated by war. They didn't like it. After World War II, their parents settled in. But the 60s children, they didn't like this stuff. They certainly didn't like the Vietnam War. That was something that was very hard.
Yep.
Soldiers got treated like they were scum. The people didn't like it. The president was caught up into it.
Yep.
And all of that, along with the internal tensions, were forcing a lot of hands to go in a lot of different directions. Very turbulent time. But that's where we got the Civil Rights Act. And the Civil Rights Act was put into law. And what happened politically, it was when Lyndon Johnson wrote that into law, many of the Dixiecrats, who were the most ardent racists, the George Wallaces and all of those people, they didn't like the fact that their party, their Democratic Party that had always kowtowed to their racism, now just openly defied them. So they got together and they decided to switch to the Republican Party. That was called the Southern Solution. And Nixon knew how to play on it, just like Trump knows how to play to his base today.
Yep.
Nixon figured that out. As he was coming in, he said, okay, all these racists need a place to go. I can appeal to them. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you watch the political history and all of this play into it. But postmodernism is that thinking that we kind of want to know truth, but the way we've dealt with it is to definitely deny that truth is absolute, because there's a fear of absolute authority.
Right.
And that fear is still there in many people. So now people are saying there's another movement that's called postmodernism. And some people believe that just started in 2016, which you know what happened. That's when President Trump became elected. And some believe that postmodernism basically says, in postmodernism, the idea was I don't believe there's absolute truth. What I believe is what I believe. I'm not going to tell you what you have to believe. There was a way to try to do it and at the same time let you believe what you wanted to believe without saying you couldn't believe it. Because globalism had taken effect.
Right.
You know, people that used to talk about now are your neighbors. The world has been brought closer through technology, and people are here. You know, you got Muslims here, you got Hindus here, you got people of other races here. You can't just talk any old kind of way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking to the people right in front of you. So you're going to have to find a new way of dealing. And so all of that was happening. And it's still happening. But in 2016, some believe that this is postmodernism, where now it's not a toleration. Notice the terms toleration are not used as much as they were just a few years ago. Everything was about tolerance. And to some degree it's still going on, because you have the transgenderism and all of these type of things happen. But you're not hearing that term as much. What President Trump has unleashed is the guard that, hey, I'm going to believe what I want to believe, and whoever wins, wins. But I don't care, it's war.
Yep.
Instead of it being tolerance, it's I'm just going to go with what I believe, and I'm going to fight you till I get my way.
Yep.
And
That's
that's
true.
what some people are calling postmodernism. It has a very, I believe what I believe, and I'm going to fight to get my way no matter what it takes to get it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I believe what I believe, but I'm going to tolerate you believing something different. Now we're going back to our circles and saying, hey, let the worst one win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, whatever I believe, I'm going to go with it. I don't care how stupid you think it is. I don't care how much you hate it. I'm still going to do it. And to a great degree, that's why many people admire Trump.
Yeah.
The
Sad.
more base he is, the more they like it. Because he's expressing what they want to say.
Yeah, that's true.
And the more he gets in trouble for it, the more he does it. Because he's representing this devil-may-care attitude. I'm just going to say it, and I don't care who doesn't like it. I'm going to keep saying it anyway. I'm going to keep tweeting anyway. And so the base around him is starting to solidify and say, yeah, that's what it is. And so some people think that we're going into that postmodern era. Personally, I think all of these things were already there. It's just a matter of them coming out and giving license to them more. But all of these tendencies are always there. It's just a matter of the expression being open to them and giving. Right? How would you define postmodernism from what you've read and studied thus far? What would you guys say? Yes, ma'am.
All right.
It's good to see you again.
Yes, going back to what you were saying about the truth, the 60s group
Yes.
was searching for that truth.
Yes.
And so I would say, looking at that one word, truth, postmodernism, we are sitting kind of, and this is just my own personal, is no longer an absolute, like what you just said, truth, but it's more what's relevant, truth, what's relevant to me. And because it is relevant to me, I will fight for my own truth.
That's exactly what it's morphed into. Exactly. It was more amenable at first, but now it's getting more warlike.
Right.
I'm searching for it, and I'm trying to do it with recognizing other people have their own way of thinking. The other is just as important. They have other ideas. Let's deal with it from an idealistic base. But after a while, you get tired of that, and it ends up everybody takes their corners. And now let me see how I can influence to just get my way done. And you got to fight, kick, lie, whatever you got to do it. And this is very interesting because you're seeing a lot of evangelicals play into it. And this is exactly what happened in the days of slavery. The evangelicals were kowtowing to the races of the time by justifying the slaves not being educated and telling them that the Bible said the only way you have a chance is to become a better slave.
Yep.
That's how they did it then. Now, they're backing Trump, no matter how unethical he is, to get their way, because once I get the power to do it, then we're in control, and control means more than ethics. And you're seeing a lot of that play out. But really, you're seeing the same mentality, just transferred in different times. And that's really what you're seeing. And what you're seeing from God is you're seeing an expose, an exposure of what's really in people's hearts when they have opportunity, and what will come out when those type of things are. And can you really build a utopian society in human hands? Rationalists thought they could. You know, they're looking for ways. And then there was American exceptionalism. In other words, America is the best nation, the richest nation. Therefore, we have a responsibility to kind of be the head of the world. That has a lot to do with our earlier and present mentality. And with that, it's brought a lot of resentments, because American imperialism has also looked down on other peoples. And so now you have all that discriminatory and racial tension that has even flourished very strong. It's come out in Obama and President Trump's administrations at least as much as in the 60s. Obama, it came out because of the resentment of him being black. Trump, it came out because his resentment of all blacks.
That's true.
Of course, they're going to look at it differently, but you can tell what's going on here.
Yep.
But that's exactly what's happening here. Now, how do we respond as Christians? Because the way the culture goes is where Christian churches and leaders tend to go. They're trying to find ways to deal with things the way they see them. And so your task as a Christian is to understand, how does God want us to respond? How do you deal in a world that's ever changing in its morals when you know God's morals stay the same? How do you deal in a world that resents the Bible because it doesn't see life just through our modern eyes? You have a lot of young people saying, why doesn't the Bible speak against slavery? Why does it not talk about women's liberation? Why does it talk against homosexuality? And so they're taking these social issues that in their day they feel as though are key issues. And the Bible's not taking a hard stance on them in the way they think. And the Bible also takes a very authoritarian position, where God says what goes.
Yep.
God gives life, and God also judges and kills.
Mm-hmm.
And see, they're trying to find a way not to do it, and yet their cultures do it. So a lot of this resentment is already there about the Bible, about God, and this is why you have everybody scrambling. It's like that generation that didn't know the former, therefore they're all looking for something that they can resonate with. And this is why a lot of young African Americans went into the Nation of Islam. This is why a lot of young African Americans are going into Black Hebrew Israelites and these organizations. They're looking for something to identify with in their present situation, and they're defining truth from that anger. They're defining truth from their sense of justice. Rather than see truth as beyond just their own, they're saying if truth doesn't deal with what I'm dealing with, it can't be true. So now I've got to break down truth and say it's no absolute truth. Truth is what